Good morning, junior high student. Well, welcome to day 11 of the Psalm Summer Challenge. Welcome to Psalm 32. And first, let me ask you a question. This is a question that I asked you a month or two ago. And I said, if you could describe yourself in one word, what would you be? I said, think about it for 30 seconds and now answer in one word. And the answer, which I was not prepared for, is that the majority of you said, I don't know if you remember, I am a sinner. That was your main response. Who are you as a person? What defines you? What do you exist as? And the majority of you, not all of you, understand. So if you say, I remember that, I didn't say that, it's totally true. But a great deal of you said, I am a sinner. Is this a true statement? What do you guys think? Think about it. Yes. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So to disagree with that is to disagree with the book of Romans, to disagree with who we are as humans. Is that the definition of man? If I were to look at a person and say, boom, that is your greatest, if I could describe you in one word, that's what I would say is sinner. Think about that. Yeah, well, they've sinned, so that makes sense. Interesting. Think about it. Because, welcome to Psalm 32. An excellent psalm. And I want to talk about every line 3 times. But we're going to beginning and end. And we'll maybe stir in some middle in between. But beginning and end. Verse 1. Psalm 32, verse 1. How blessed is he whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. So yes, it says that his transgression or his law breaking, his wrongdoing is forgiven, which means that he has transgressed, he has broken the law, he has sinned. But then this is his sin, is forgiven. It is removed. Whose sin is covered. So this man who has sinned, he is a sinner. His sin is forgiven. His sin is covered. It is removed. It is not counted against him. Verse 2, how blessed is the man to whom the Lord does not impute iniquity. 2 big words. Impute means to credit to or give account to or render it as somebody's. So if I have a dollar, I can impute this. This is imputed to me. This is my dollar. I count it as my own. The Lord does not impute iniquity. Iniquity is sin, wrongdoing, bad. So it says the Lord does not impute iniquity, sin. So how blessed is the man to whom the Lord does not count his sin. He is a sinner. He has transgressed. He has broken the law. How blessed is the man whose sin is forgiven, whose sin is covered, is removed from him. And how blessed is the man to whom the Lord does not account his sin. The man has sinned. He is a sinner. It is forgiven. It is covered. And it is not counted to him. His sin is not imputed to him. So, is it the most fitting statement of all men to say, who am I? I am a sinner. Because, according to Psalm 31, verse 1 and 2, for those who are forgiven, whose sin is covered, their sin is not counted to them by the Lord. Whoa. Are they a sinner? Absolutely. But does God account them as sinners? And then this brings up another question. How could God look at a sinner, a man who sinned, and say, no, he is forgiven, his sin is covered, and I do not count his sin? Can God be fair when doing that? How can a righteous judge look at a criminal and say, no, not a criminal, didn't commit that sin, it's covered, it's forgiven, I don't count it to him? Interesting question, part 2. So can God have a sinner and not count them a sinner, and yet still be just? Interesting. Think about it. And lastly, my last thing that I want you to think about largely Be glad, verse 11. Be glad in the Lord and rejoice, you righteous ones. Rejoice in the Lord, you righteous ones. So if I ask you, who are you? Are you, first and foremost above all things, a sinner? David in verse 1 and 2 says your sin's forgiven, it's covered, and the sin is not counted against you by the Lord. And in verse 11, he calls the forgiven sinner righteous. God isn't punishing their sin. He's not counting it against them, and he's calling them righteous. So first and foremost, is a person who has been forgiven by God. Is he still, if you could define him in one word, a sinner? Or would we say what David says in verse 11 and say he is a righteous one? Very, very interesting. And I want to put you back to this. How can God be just and righteous? Because a good judge must punish sin. A righteous God must punish sin. How can God not punish the sins of the sinner and then go on to call them righteous? And do they need to be righteous? How does somebody get into heaven? Do they need to be sinless? They need to have never sinned, or do they need to be righteous? That's another question. Think about them. You get to answer these in your forms for today. I know these are big, fun, hard questions. Fun for me. I hope fun for you. Think about it. And maybe ask your mama or your dada and say, how does justice work with sin? How does sin not count to them? And how important is it for me to be righteous, or do I just need to be not sinless? And where do I get this righteousness from? Because if I am a sinner and you remove my sin, is this righteousness my own righteousness that I do by going to church and giving to the church and serving? Am I righteous because of what I do? Where do I get this righteousness? Very, very interesting. All right. Well, I hope this has interested you, and I hope you get to think about it in your questions. And I don't want to hear any I don't knows. I don't want to hear any, I'm not sure. Think about it. Work on it. Figure it out. This is the root of salvation. What happens to sinners? What happens to sin? How does somebody get to heaven? And how can God be fair with all of these moving pieces? Is a lovely, lovely question to start your day. So, have the best of Saturday mornings. I will see you tomorrow.